Hey, what's up, guys? It's Marathon Man here, and this is going to be post commentary on a Ratchet and Clank New Game Plus speedrun that I got maybe a week and a half ago or so now. This is for the newly made VODs channel, and I figured this is a little bit better than just uploading raw PBs and the like, so let's give it a watch. This was in 21:29, so this is the highest I've been on the NG Plus leaderboard now. So I believe this Velden one was nothing special. Pretty decent movement at the start here. Minus messing up that side flip there, but that happens sometimes. That's not too big of a deal. Looks like pretty good second chain. No hyper strike. Bad angle, bad speed, but 23, not too bad. If you've never seen this run before, a lot of this early movement, you see I have this punching glove here. If you pause at the right frame and you play an in-level movie, you can actually keep the power and the throw of the Walloper punch, but you get a grounded state, so you can maintain that power into, as you see here, side flips, double jumps, and we're going to see it used more and more often. I believe I just barely make it onto the elevator there. Oh, and I got a skill point this run. That's funny. That's just for hitting one of the rockets that you might see like flying by. But the Walloper stuff is probably the biggest difference between New Game Plus and the rest of the categories. Because you don't get the goodies menu to play in-level movies until you get to New Game Plus. This is Kirwan. This is one of the more advanced planets in the run. It's one of the longer ones, and right off the bat you see lots of different chains with the Walloper, and what you saw there was infinite jumps using the Pda. And the Pda is an extremely... oh my god, the speedrun would not be the same without it. So you saw infinite jumps earlier. These are called Pda Side Flips, and they're basically just chaining side flips in the air by opening the Pda, and it uses first-person mode, and it's a little much to explain. So here I'm trying to preserve a bunch of momentum, but I didn't have a whole lot, and then I went straight into the canister there, and so that's a little unfortunate. And here I go for a strat called Yondo Train. Oh, I messed it up. Wow, that's funny. I think that missile... oh, it didn't even hit me. Ooh. This was a little rough. But that missile's supposed to hit me while I'm in this cutscene. Do I? Yeah. Okay, so I actually messed it up in this run. Wow, I forgot about that. But that probably loses like 2 or 3 seconds. Normally, this cutscene, the one where the train actually arrives, that one just plays straight away, so I probably lost like 2 or 3 seconds in between. But that's not that big of a deal. And then we just go right back to the ship. And those first 3 planets are really, really tough. Especially, you know, being the first 3 and doing them back to back to back, and especially with Velden and Novalis being really, really short. Like, the 2 of them together with shiploads and everything took a minute and 10 seconds. So Eudora is a relatively easy planet. This clip through this wall here is really easy. And that was the whole planet. It's a pretty common thread with most of the Ratchet and Clank games that Insomniac liked the idea of making their maps in big circles, so to avoid any annoying backtracking and stuff like that. So, similar thing here on Blarg Station. There's actually 3 different paths, I believe, on this planet, but the only one that's important for the NG Plus run is the warship path, which gives us the coordinates to planet Rogar. And normally you go to the end of the ship, you hit a button, and then you have to escape the self-destruct sequence, but you can actually clip right through the wall where the infobot is stored. So, one clip here, which I'm pretty good at this clip, but it can give some trouble. And then one clip here. And then, by playing this in-level movie and skipping the cutscene in a certain way, we skip the cutscene of the pod flying back, and we just go right back to the ship. Okay, so these next 3 planets are among the most difficult and most tech-heavy in the entire run. And I believe this went... Okay, so this is a trick called Centerflips. Basically, the idea is we're chaining side flips. Yeah, really, really bad height. You can skip a lot of these Pda Side Flips if you have if you do Centerflips slow enough, you have the height. You don't have to side flip back up. But over certain surfaces, you can chain. In this case, side flips into side flips. Oh, and I failed the ILJ backtrack. Not the best railgar, but suffice enough. But you can chain, in this case, side flips back and forth to gain a bunch of height. And on this next planet, you'll see these are going to be infinite long jumps, which are long jumps into side flips back into long jumps back and forth. So first thing I'm going to do is drop into the mud and activate Ghost Ratchet, which the game basically thinks that you're dead. And so walls don't have collision, and notably for this trick that I'm about to do called Ship to Boss, there's no speed cap. So we are just going to go flying right into the boss area. Except the boss is on the other side of this wall here, so we're going to grab the infobot, and opening up the PDA as soon as I hit the lava there just drains all your health immediately. So this was a little rough, but because the side flip I got after I got Ghost Ratchet, I ended up falling back into the mud, and so I had to redo it. Now, Battaglia is one of the most technically advanced parts of the entire run, so I do a walloper right here at the start, some long jumps, chaining more long jumps. These are called midair long jumps. I probably should have explained this earlier, but it's basically a long jump turned into a side flip, turned back into a long jump, and you see you have that kind of vibration motion almost. You get the speed of the initial long jump, the throw of the side flip, and the distance of the second long jump. So they're really effective. And here you're going to see I'm going to be chaining more of them together. And go flying all the way over to the second infobot. This Battaglia was not the worst. It was definitely not great, but it's also it was on the verge of falling apart a couple times, and so I'd like to think it wasn't too bad. Again, that's a very difficult planet. Probably I would wager top 3 hardest in the run for sure. So this is the only planet in the game where we actually play as Clank, and conveniently, because we have the in-level movies, you can clip right into that pipe, and yeah. That skips about 7 minutes of Clank sections, dealing with gadgebots, and it's annoying. Interesting trick here called Big Clank Jump. If you play an in-level movie at a certain frame during Clank's jump, he just gets way more height, and you can clear that gap. It's pretty funny. Gaspar is another relatively straightforward planet. We're just going to be entering the back portion of this pathway. And again, same thing like on Umbris. I'm going to open the PDA as soon as I touch the lava. and you just drain instantly. Unfortunate bonk there on the ship because of a bad angle on the midair, but that's not too bad. Okay, so this is the longest planet in the run by quite a lot. Ideally, this is one of the only planets in the run, if not the only planet in the run, that exceeds the 2-minute mark, and it actually also exceeds the 3-minute mark. So we're going to use the Visibomb here, which is kind of like a guided missile, to clear out some of the fish on the back part of this. And pretty much this planet is an escort mission. All these fish need to die by the time the guy, it's the guy driving the boat right now, his name is the guy. We have to clear all the fish out before he reaches the end portion, where the pilot, the jet fighter, that's what that's called. And if I remember, this pokey was pretty smooth. I'm still not doing fast fight. I should shut up and learn that, probably. Oh, there he is. I was so confused. I was just like, I definitely don't remember this happening. Sometimes there's a fish that likes to hide up there, and so you have to go all the way back up, and it loses a lot of time. So ideally, by the time we clear out all these fish, the guy's going to hit a certain part of the pathway, and he'll actually warp straight to the end area if the game detects that all the fish have already been killed. So that's called Guy Warp, and I believe this was pretty fast. It's usually not too hard to do. You have these boat rides anyway, so using the Visibomb to clear out a lot of the fish is a good way to make use of downtime. And one thing to note as well is I actually fired a Visibomb as I landed on that button. Normally, you cannot walk during this cutscene, but because I played the Visibomb during it, it breaks the your position lock. So now we have the ship fight. Believe I won cycle here. Like I said, this was pretty smooth, if I remember correctly. That second string of tankers and this third string are usually the tough ones, but it looks like I had really good missiles. Yeah. Yeah, really good missiles. Wow. So. Got that one in the bag. Alright, so I have to talk about one of the other really difficult portions of New Game Plus, and if you take a look at the splits, this is called Choke 2. And this is the only really bad part of the run, and again, this is another one I would say is probably top 3. So here actually I was having issues going down to in-level movies in order to get this Walloper sequence started. And so have to do some PDAs here, which basically you're closing the PDA, and you can chain those midairs together, but because you're closing the PDA, you're actually you can do them in just tighter gaps. And here, this ledge, I believe, is a lot more deceiving than you would think, so I had problems getting that Walloper to work. And so again, this is one of the harder ones to do, and so this definitely, you know, a lot of things went wrong, but still held it together. There might be, you know, a couple seconds here, couple seconds there on other parts, but this is the only, like, part that I would definitely say is bad. I believe I lose over 20 seconds here. Alright, so on a Hoven. This is one of the only, I don't want to say inconsistent, but there are definitely times where Hoven feels like a bit of a dice roll, particularly with this ILJ here, which, you know, that's a pretty much there's no bottom to the turret that we're in right now. So as long as you're underneath it, the game doesn't check your Y coordinate. So the game assumes that if you're underneath it, like, there's no way that you're not actually just in the turret. So it just up warps you. And so it's an easier way to access this from below. And this fight as well, I believe goes pretty okay. Not the worst. There are very, very precise spots on there that deal extra damage, but it's really hard to keep track of them, especially because the ship is also bobbing up and down. Not too bad overall, though. Again, that's probably the split with the most variance out of everything here, if done well. Okay, Gemlik. This is a pretty interesting planet. This is a very long-winded map. If you remember this planet casually, and we're just gonna cut straight down the center, and that was also a boss fight skip. Oddly enough. Again, that's a very long and winding planet, but that was, I believe, 51 seconds. So I also accidentally pulled out the Visibomb instead of the Walloper there, so that lost a little bit of time, but that's not too big of a deal. And this is another really long planet, but we just used some Pda Side Flips and cut straight to the end. Grab the infobot. Alright, last 3 planets coming up. So, Core 2, once again, it's kind of a reoccurring theme with a lot of these later planets. Core 2 is a very long planet and usually requires some backtracking, but we're just gonna cut straight to the final area, again, using some PDA side flips here. There's a large invisible wall there that you have to get over. And then you can actually clip through this wall in a certain way, and I fire the Rhino there to actually kill the guard on the other side of that wall. That's actually what makes the door open in the cutscene play. Very, very good Core 2. Now, these last 2, I would also say, are some of the hardest ones in the run. This planet pretty much revolves around getting a chain going here across the kind of the spine of the ship, and as you see, I already had an accident there, but that's okay. Pretty good recovery overall, I would say. There are lots of like invisible ledges and things that can just eat your chain, and if done right, it's not too bad. But as soon as your chain gets eaten, recovering it is a little finicky sometimes. This clip fought me a little bit. That clip's normally not too bad. And yeah, right into the last area. And now the last planet, Belden 2. This is probably, for my money, the hardest planet in the entire run. And it kind of combines a lot of what we've seen so far. We're going to do a Walloper right at the start, and then go into some long jump SIs. So I have to aim for very specific spots. So we're going to get a chain going here. And then very specific spots we can long jump again on this rock side here. And an interesting thing to note about New Game Plus. This is actually where the final boss spawns, but the way I'm doing this, we're not going to spawn the boss. We're actually going to go straight to the final boss arena. And there's a weird thing that happens on PS3, on PAL PS3 specifically. Or hold on, I'm thinking of something different. PS3 download. NTSC is fine for this as well. But if you beat the final boss, and then you see the destroyer, that's that gun in the center of the arena, it's pointing upward. If you beat the boss, wait like a second or so, and that thing is pointing upward, but you don't hit the button that I'm about to press, the boss doesn't actually spawn, so we actually just skip it entirely. And that is Ratchet & Clank New Game Plus in 21 minutes and 29 seconds. I believe this is currently 16th on the board. And especially with the 20-something that I lost on Orcs 2, definitely going to try and go for a 20 at some point, considering the majority of the time save is right there, and everything else. I feel like I can improve pretty much everything else that's in here. There's nothing that I'm too worried about running against. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.